Hello YouTube. Today I want to look at this problem. We are cloning a lot. It's actually a little bit less than I thought. It's what, 10 places we're doing clone. But probably we don't need to do that. So let's take a look at the main file. So if we want to avoid cloning, we'll need to introduce lifetimes. And let's see how that would work. So in the main function, over here, you can either run the interpreter as a like this, as a prompt. That's not supposed to happen, I think, but whatever. You can run it as a prompt like this, and then it will accept input, or you can give it a script. And let's analyze the case of the script first, where you end up here. It will run the file, and depending on what happens, it will either exit or exit with an error. And when you run the file, it will read the path, to a string, and just put that into the interpreter. Now in this case, we have the contents of this file, and that will essentially live for the entire lifetime of the interpreter and the entire run of this function. So all of these places here where we are cloning, they probably don't need to clone. They can just refer to the data that is inside the contents. So sort of the lifetime of the interpreter, lifetime of all these things that we have here, they could just be the same lifetime as this contents. It may be a little bit more tricky here in the other version of the interpreter, where we're running like a REPL. Let's see how that works. So we make an interpreter, and then we print this prompt signal, and then we try to read in from the input. Into this buffer. And then we interpret that line. Right. So actually here we can say if less than 1, because now I should be able to do this. Exactly, keep it running for more lines, and okay, great. So actually I want to just print an empty line, I think, so that this is not really what we're supposed to work on, but whatever, I got sidetracked. So anyway, we read it into this string buffer, and now we kind of have a lifetime problem for sure. Because this local variable obviously only lives until the end of the loop body, and that will be in conflict with the other function. Now we could move it out here, for example. The downside is the buffer will just grow and grow and grow, potentially. gonna try something. I'm going to try to say, just give me what the buffer is. Well, it's already doing that, I see down below. Let's try to run that. And then b equals 3. Yeah, then it will print both. And we can see the buffer is just growing and growing. And we also interpret all the time. So one way we can perhaps fix it is by saying we have this string buffer, which will live for the entire lifetime of the program, or at least as long as the interpreter. And instead of giving, well, we're already giving a string reference, but instead of giving like the full buffer, we will just give the latest bits. So like, we can say like current length is buffer.length. And then here we will just echo current length like that. And here we will just also give a reference to current length like that. So we don't give all of it, but just the last bit. Let's see if that works. It does not work. And can I do this? Yeah, so now echoing is working correctly. And we can say try print a plus b. Okay, so I think that's a way to do it. And here we get a string, we scan it. And if I remember correctly, there is a bit of cloning in this scanner, which we should now try to get rid of. Now, probably we'll have to introduce a lot of lifetimes, but hopefully the compiler can help us do it. So, scan tokens. Let's see how it works. Okay, the source is a string, and here we're also doing, so actually, probably I need to do also check how many times do we call to string. That's quite relevant too. Yeah, that's a lot of times. A lot of these are probably not so bad, but at least this one that we have here, we shouldn't need to do. We shouldn't need to take a copy. So let's see how wrong, how horribly this can go. Okay, so we need a lifetime. We put a lifetime here. Let's see how it works, how it goes now. What is it saying? Prefix A is on, it's because it has to be like that. Okay. Can I just run the tests? It will give me the errors on the top. That's good. And you need like double up. That's great. Why is there suddenly an error in the statement? But whatever, let's just try to check it for now. Unused imports, something in the parser. Okay. Try this. So interestingly, that was not so difficult. Now, we have a clone here. Can we get rid of that? The thing is, after we've scanned them, we don't really need the tokens in here, but I'm not sure you can just like, because if we did this, it would like mean that we surrendered ownership of the tokens, which I don't think we can do. Cannot move out of self the tokens, which is behind a mutable reference. Yeah. So I wonder if, is it possible? Let's go into main and let's see, now we scan, we get the tokens. Can I like take the tokens like this? Probably not. Because it will give me the same, it says it's a private field. That's an easy fix for that. Huh, I think it actually let me do that. But I presume I cannot do something like this, like do something with it again. Yeah, use of moved value. Okay, that's a little bit annoying. But actually, let's think about it a little bit, because if we go into main, now it's making a new scanner every time it runs. So, because what I was thinking was that it doesn't make sense to like take ownership of the tokens, because then the scanner cannot use them. Use it later, but it will never need to use it later. Actually, let me try this. Let's get rid of that one. Yeah, borrow of partially moved value. Okay, so there's some checking for that. That's nice. Okay, we're gonna try something. I don't know how nice it is, but at least it will avoid duplicating the data. So now we will simply say it scans, that modifies the internal state of the scanner, and then we are allowed to take out the tokens. I mean, we could make some kind of access of the checks that we already scanned, but I think for now it's okay. Let's try this one. Compiles without error, so that should be fine. Let's also try to run it, just in case. It seems to be more or less working. Okay, now I want to look into Expert. And let's see, clone. Okay. So Expert is used inside the parser. And again, like everything should just live for the entire lifetime of the program. So it should be okay to say that this is not wait a second, let me go down here and just, yeah, so this is also something I want to get rid of. Let me undo this one. We shouldn't need to clone a string here. Like that. And that. Let's try to run it, and it didn't work, which is expected. And then we need lifetimes again. Okay, line 97 in some other file. Okay, so it's causing some problems inside the export. Let's try to fix that now. What am I doing? Okay, so line 97. So this needs some kind of lifetime, which should be the same lifetime as this, which is just the lifetime of the string that has the source code. And let's try that. Right now the export also needs one. And now in the parser we need one. We'll need one there. And now there's something in the scanner. At this point I'm just following the compiler messages and hoping it will work out in the end. We can always revert, which is the nice thing with Git. Statement. Okay, let's see. So because we changed this to be a string reference, it shouldn't be string clone. But now let's try to do this. Try that. And there's a problem down here. Yeah, so then we need to change this thing to be, oops, to have a lifetime. Let me copy that again. Okay. It certainly doesn't look pretty, but at least we're not copying anymore. Now this thing, can we put a string reference here? should be that, and this one will need a, actually this should be like that. I think let's just try to run it. Let's see what happens. Okay, into the interpreter. The environment needs a lifetime, which means the interpreter needs a lifetime. I mean, at least I'm pretty sure that's follows. Let's just try this. Use of undeclared lifetime. Yes, it does need it. And try to run it again. We go back to Expo. We're just jumping around like crazy, but we're following the compiler messages. So, okay, this one needs a lifetime. And this is probably fine. This should be toString. Now we have a warning here on line 208. Expected Can I do this, or will it mess something up? Because this format is creating a new string. Yeah, I just looked it up. There's no way to concat toString references, which I guess makes sense. So let's assume that this will work. We don't need a toString here. And we don't need it toString here. And inside the parser, we don't need a toString here. And we don't need toString here. And we don't need a toString here. And we don't need it here. Okay. The method toString, now I'm reading here, the method toString exists for struct, blah, 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 but its straight bounds were not satisfied. Okay. The method cannot be called. Let's, where's the statement thing? Defined again? Statement. Parser.parse. Let's look at the parse function. It does return a vector of statements, but it's saying that toString is not satisfied. But how was it ever? How was it ever working? Wait, so parse. Maybe we broke something and we forgot to run the tests, because yeah, looks like that's the case. Can I do this? So if we have an expression, and it's an expression, then we will return expression to a string. And if it is print of an expression, we will return print of expression to string. And if it is a var with a name and initializer, we will just return var of the name. Let's try that one. Can I do a local using like this? Okay. It didn't like that. It's still trying to get this format trait working, so let's ignore that. Let's call our own. Method not found in... interesting. Okay, so a quick hack is to do this. So there should only be one, so to make this test work, probably we should say that should be 1. Like that. Okay, now let's check line 340 where there's another thing. We don't do it like this anymore. Instead we will say tokens. We move the tokens out like that. And error the method to string 344. Do the same trick. And 350. Do this again. And this again. And we should also add those lines, assert equal past x per length 1. Okay, back to the scanner. Line 72. We don't need that. Don't copy things. 274. And again, don't copy things. Expected string reference, found string. Create scanner, line 418. Actually, we should probably preserve this unwrap in the other tests. I just realized, was it in here? Like, because it could potentially fail. Scanner, scan tokens. This one doesn't scan. Okay. Now, what's it saying? This is a string reference. Cannot compare string reference with string. Okay. Surprisingly, that was sufficient. And now we're back in statement. So here we will just say token.lexeme, that should be fine. And there's something in the parser that I've messed up, like here. Oops, it's not token, it's name. Warning, warning. Ah, here was an error. Fantastic. And line 55. Let's try that. Okay, now this looks scary. Lifetime may not live long enough. Value, evaluate environment. We guess we need a lifetime here. And it's still complaining. Let's call the lifetime of this reference 1. Which reference? Self. But here I'm saying they have the same lifetime. Do I have to say this? The arrow went away, so that's how you know that you did the right thing. Just kidding. Okay. Line 172. Cannot return variable referencing local variable right. Match right. Why is it? this should not, it's returning a literal value, should not reference anything, right? So if I do like, okay, false, will that error go away? It did, well, no, it did go away, so. And this is, it's just a reference. Do I really need to do this? Maybe if I put a lifetime here, doesn't need a lifetime, right? No. I wonder what the problem is. What is this number type, by the way? It's just a number. So on this line, we're copying X. So that's no problem. Here we're throwing an error, which is also fine. Can we clone the value of this thing? Returns a value referencing data owned by the current function. Which is weird. It is weird because why doesn't this one do we need a lifetime here? Apparently, yes. Okay, why is that? I'm not sure. 11. Okay, 28. Cannot reference temporary value created here. Okay, that's a bit of a problem. I'm not sure there's a way to get around this. I mean, we can do something like this. So a string value can be like arbitrarily many references, and it will just consist of those like concatenated together. Is what it's supposed to represent. But that has other annoying things that we have to deal with. But we now have to copy the strings, and that was our goal to begin with. I'm not sure if it was a great idea anymore. But it's a very annoying solution. Let's remove this. Let's go back here and then have another look. Yeah, there's no way around it. Damn. And honestly, making this a vector of string references is also quite ugly. We never have to clone things, which, like, maybe that's useful if you have a large file, but okay, let's just try to go through with it, and then we will sleep on it and see how we feel. So that should fix this problem, because now we can say, well, it's just these two values now. It will introduce a bunch of other problems. For example, here. Then we say this is a new string. And we will say for substring in X, push the substring, and then we return S. Great. Arguments to this enum variant are wrong. Line 61. Now we have to put everything into a vector. That's also horrible. Right. These are no longer no longer references, so really we need something like, do we have a pen or something? Why does it need a mutable reference to S1? I don't get that. Right, needs to be mutable. And that seemed to work. Okay, now we have another warning in interpreter. These need lifetimes, don't they? Thought I fixed that now. Expression evaluates mutable environment. Expression dropped here while it's still borrowed. So now we have a new problem. I think so, looking through all these other errors, that now we're getting something like cannot borrow self as mutable more than once at a time. I think this is not the right approach. And we got the scanner to work, but I want to undo the rest. And I will just do that off screen so you don't have to sit and watch me delete all the code we just did. I'll be right back. Maybe I'll commit it first so it's not completely lost, but then I will undo it. Okay, unfortunately these like double borrow things, errors over here, they persist even though I removed all of I removed a lot of those lifetimes. And I'm not sure why that would suddenly happen. This should not do anything. What if we ignore that for now? and I will get back to you in a bit. Okay, I think I will stop here, and what I'm going to do is put the stuff we did in this video on a separate branch and restore master branch to a working state. And then I think I will need to think more about how to do this. But this was an interesting experiment that unfortunately didn't work, but we're here to learn, and I guess we learned something. So I will see you next time.